Hi, Assalamualaikum, and hello to all my students watching this video. Today, I will continue for the first chapter, which is what is law, but I will focus on the last part on the chapter, which is the reason that why people obey the law. Before I move to discussions, I really hope that you already watched the video regarding the basic concept of law and also the different perspective of law. I want to highlight for the learning outcomes for this video is the student must be able to describe the reason people obey the law by supporting with the authorities like jury's opinion and also the examples. Reminder to all of you, if you can't understand, please ask the questions to me. If you're having a questions, please drop your questions in comment sections below, or you can ask questions in the class. And if you need me to explain again, please ask me to do so in the class. So we move to our discussions. Why people obey the law? There are 5 reasons why people obey the law, which are the legal duty, the fear of sanctions, the moral duty, the benefits of convenience, and also the general habits of obedience. So these are the 5 points that will be discussed throughout this video. Okay, the first reason that why people obey the law because of the legal duty. You need to understand first what is actually a legal duty. The legal duty is obligations that created by the law of a country. Okay, once the country or the government enacted the law, we are citizens having a legal obligations to perform these kind of the duties. Okay, if we do not perform it, there's a sanctions behind it, or the state can punish us. Okay, for example, we as a citizen of the country need to perform or shows the obedience to pay to the constitutions, to pay the tax, for example. Okay, so that is our legal duty because there is a law that been enacted in our country. So it can be supported with the opinions of jurists. Number 1, we look on the Lord Halsham. Lord Halsham said that there is a duty to obey the law due to the prima facie or presumptive obligations that impose a duty to obey whatever the circumstances. Meaning to say that we having a duty to obey the law, okay, once it had been enacted by parliament, once been enacted by the authority, we as a citizen of that country having a legal duty to obey the law. Number 2, Pascal said that there are people in this world reject the law from the God and also the law from nature because they want to make themselves strictly comply with the law that made by the authority. Okay, the next one is John Finnis. John Finnis having a different idea on what is actually the meaning of obligations to obey the law. Okay, when you look on the meanings of obligations to obey the law based on John Finnis, you may find that not only a legal duty or legal obligations, but the moral obligations also is the reason that is the meaning of obligations to obey the law. Okay, we'll look on one by one. The obligations to obey the law means either when you disobey the law, you are subject to the sanctions. Number 2, the legal obligations in the legal sense that you conform with the law that is actually a socially necessary. Okay, because you are a citizen, a part of the society, and you are part of the citizen of the country. Okay, it is necessary to you to obey the law. Number 3 is legal obligations in the moral sense. Okay, you having a legal obligations to obey the law because you know that is the right thing to do so. That is moral is all about. And the last one is moral obligation derived from some collateral sources. Collateral sources, or we call it as additional sources of reason. Okay, like for example, we obey the law. Okay, we having the obligations to obey the law because we as a citizen need to respect our authority. Okay, the next point is the fear of sanctions. I could say that the fear of sanction is a mainly reason why people obey the law. And I believe that all of you also agree with me. Okay, Austin said that the fear by which the law, by its coercive power, strikes in the heart of the people is what makes people obey the law. So meaning to say that when we put the elements of fear, when we make a law, okay, that is actually the reason people obey the law. And if we remove the elements of fear, the people would not obey the law because there's no deterrence. Okay, there's no preventations. Okay, so meaning to say, what Austin wants to say that we need to put elements of fear in order to make people obey the law. And it also been agreed with Hans Kelsen. He said that motive for obeying by no means always fear of sanctions or the coercive act being carried out. So meaning to say that the reason of motive, people obey the law because of fear of sanctions. And it has been carried out by the person having the authority, okay, or we call it as a coercive power. Harchans having a different idea from Austin and Hans Kelsen, because he said that the fear of sanction is not only the reason why people obey the law, because there are the law that not supported by sanctions. There's a law that not having a sanctions behind it, yet the law is still obeyed. For example, the will matching law, the right to vote, the marriage law, there's no sanction behind it, but still citizens or people obey the law. And he views that the ideal system seems that the little force need to put a little force as possible. Okay, because of the Harchan said that when we put a little force to people in order to obey the law, it is actually makes people obey the law. The reason number 3 is a moral duty. What is actually a moral duty? Moral means that the standard for good and bad character and behavior. We as a people, we as a human being, having our own idea what is good and what is bad, right? So because of our moral duty, we need to obey the law because we think that that is the good things that we need to do, okay, by obeying the law. Okay, John Rawls said that there's a moral duty to obey the law. Yes, he agreed. One of the reasons to obey the law is moral duty. However, he said that sometimes moral obligations is overridden or overruled or set aside by other stringent obligations. Like, for example, when we weigh between a moral duty and a legal duty, okay, the legal duties need to be followed. Okay, the legal duty need to be followed rather than a moral obligations. Okay, because we understood the legal duty is the law that once the law been created by our authority or our government, we as a citizen need to follow it. Okay, law that imposed by the authority, even moral or immoral, that is our duty to obey it. So that means by John Rawls' opinion. The next one is John Stuart Mill. He supports the idea of social contract as a part of our moral duty to obey the law. What is a social contract? What is the idea of social contract? The idea of social contract says that the people live together in society in accordance with an agreement that establishes the moral and political rules of behavior. Okay, if we live according to a social contract, we can live morally by our own choice and not because of divine being requires it. So the social contract is a part of our moral duty in order to obey the law. Because of the social contract that we have, so that is a part of moral duty, the people obey the law. J.W. Harris said that the moral duty to obey the law is not the absolute, but merely prima facie, for there could be circumstances such as clash with religious belief or the law is oppressive, and it is morally right to disobey the law. Meaning to say that the moral duty to obey the law is not a total reason that why people obey the law, because there is some reason that we can disobey the law, and that is considered as moral. Okay, when it comes to the clash with religious belief, when it comes to the law that very oppressive, so we having the morally right in order to obey the law. So that is the reason. Number 3, moral duty. The first reason is benefit and convenience. What means by benefit and convenience is we obey the law because we got the benefit by obeying the law. Okay, in terms of inner feelings, in terms of we are satisfied, okay, in terms of we receive the peace, for example. Okay, so that is benefit and convenience. Jambry said that the law is complicated by people, amongst other matters, by sheer indolence. Sheer indolence means that the people who lazy, total laziness, okay? And people do not want to deviate merely because they find it convenient rather than inconvenient to obey. Meaning to say that why people obey the law, because they think that by obeying the law it's more convenient. Okay, it is very easy to the society by obeying the law. The next one is Shellhart. Shellhart said that the obedience of the law lies in the idea of some inner psychological tendency. Okay, we obey because we consider it's right and proper to do so. Meaning to say that Shellhart said that when you obey the law, okay, because of your tendency, because you think that you obey because of you think that that is right and proper to do so. Okay, the next one is Rudolf von Eichhorn, or we call as Eichhorn. The man who act does so not because of anything, but in order to attain something. Meaning to say that the man obey the law because in order to receive something. What is actually something? Something means that the satisfactions derived from it. Okay, the satisfactions or the convenience, that is the reason that why people obey the law. Okay, for example, the debtor pays his debt in order to free himself from it. Okay, you pay the debt because you want the satisfactions. Okay, you want to free yourself from the debt that you need to pay. Okay, so you obey the law because you want the satisfactions, you want the benefits, and you want ease. Okay, so that is the reason number 4, the benefit and convenience. The last reason why people obey the law is because general habits and convenience. You need to understand first what is actually habits. Okay, habits means practice, routine, custom. Okay, you obey the law because you've been taught since child you need to follow the rules. Okay, so that means by general habits and obedience. Okay, John Austin said that most people obey the law because the habits of obedience, together with ever-present threat of sanctions. So John Austin believed the reason that we people obey the law because of the sanctions and also because of the habit of obedience, because that is our practice. Okay, the next one is Weber. Okay, Weber is a part of sociologist. He said that the motive for obedience may range from fear of disapproval by the environment, or could be traced from habit of obeying. So the key word is habit, right? So you obey the law, okay, because of you fear disapproved by the community or the environment. And number 2 is because of the habit. The last one, sociologists said that the people in general are brought up to obey the law. Okay, so meaning to say that generally we as a people brought up to obey the law because since early age of the child, we learn the importance to follow our parental regulations. Okay, we follow our parents' rules, okay, since child. Okay, and the obedience is a part of our daily life since children, and disobedience is something that is not normal. So it becomes when we do something since early age of the child, it can be routine, it can be our habits. So that's why the habits and obedience is also one of the reasons why people obey the law. And I think that's it on the reasons that why people obey the law. Okay, I will sum up again. There are 5 reasons that people obey the law. Number 1 is legal routine, fear of sanctions, the moral duty, benefits and convenience, and general habits of obedience. Okay, number 1, you need to understand what is the meaning of a legal duty. Okay, once the law been created, we as a citizen, okay, having the obligations to obey the law. Number 2, we obey the law because we are fear or afraid with the punishment. We doesn't want to pay fine or penalty. Okay, we doesn't want to go to imprisonment. Okay, because of we are fear of sanction. That's what the reason that we obey the law. Number 3 is moral duty. Why we obey the law? Because we know that is the right thing that we need to do by following or obeying the law. Number 4, benefits and convenience means that by obeying the law, it gives the benefits towards us. in terms of feelings, in terms of peace, in terms of satisfactions. Okay, so we receive more convenience or benefit rather than something that's not good. And the last one is general habits of obedience. Since we are early age of a child, our parents ask us to follow some rules, and it becomes habit. And the habits of obedience become the reason that we obey the law that we have today. So I think that's all for all the points that I want to discuss regarding the last part of the chapter 1. And to all my students, I want all of you to answer my questions. From your own view, what is the main reason you obey the law in our country? Provide your answer in comment sections below. So from your own view, what is the main reason you obey the law? You can provide your opinion, or you can provide any reason that why you obey the law. And I think that's all for chapter 1. And I really hope that you can understand what I'm trying to explain to you right now. And if you have any questions, please ask me. And I think that's it for this video. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Bye. Assalamualaikum.